New Fahkumram footage, new Fahkumram footage. Normally I stream my reaction slash impression to these things, but it just so happened to come out on a day where I'm not going to be streaming Tekken for the next 3 days, so by the time I get around to it, it'd be a little bit too late anyway, so I'm recording it for all of you on YouTube. This came out about 20 minutes ago, completely unexpected, so let's take a look and see what there is to see with this absolute loser. As I said, loser.
And he is what you see. A very lanky fighter with great range, powerful strikes, and comparatively simple inputs and execution.
Okay, so there's a couple of things immediately going on here. So,
and he is
this 1-1 is a new string that he has. Obviously, a high mid string like this is always going to be good. It's impossible to know if this is a move that's going to be unsafe on block or not, because the people that are playing this for the gameplay demo probably aren't that savvy with Tekken, and they've just been told, hey, use these couple of moves. But obviously, if this is going to be a safe 10-frame high mid string, this is stupid. I don't think I need to explain that to you. And then we go immediately afterwards into Fahkumram's old low that used to be plus on hit. It forces crouch. I don't know if it's plus on hit. It looks like it's around 0. The Azucena tries doing the while rising 1. Fahkumram sidesteps the wrong way. But again, it's like you can't really get anything from this gameplay, because even though logically, yeah, you only do it when it's 0, because this is IGN people playing, this could be like +5 and it doesn't really matter. So ducks under that while rising 4, and then the old, I believe this was forward 4-2-1. The notation doesn't really matter, but this move used to be busted back in Tekken 7 before they nerfed it to be -14 because of the long range on it and the hit properties, etc., etc. And then immediately after, Azucena tries doing 3-3, which is a 14-frame punish, and it doesn't work. So there's obviously the possibility that it was just late, but it could also be that it is just not -14 anymore. And if we look back at the range too, one of the biggest reasons why this move was so ridiculous was the range. It does look like it's shorter, but at the same time, the second hit used to be a launcher as well, so it remains to be seen. But let's keep going. You can also, I just noticed too, that Fahkumram has this little install as well, the install icon. That move seems like it's going to be absurd, and the forward 1+2 now, which you do as a follow-up, gives you the install, so great. We went from having a bunch of really cool, interesting, unique DLC characters, with, of course, Lydia having her stack system with Heaven and Earth, Heihachi having Warrior's Instinct, Clive having Zantetsuken, Honor having her whole grenade launcher thing that she has going on and all of that, and now we just get install character number 27. Good job, guys. That's exactly what we wanted to see. But anyway, let's continue. So he still has the house sweep. Now, this house sweep used to have a lot more range. This is about half the range that it had in Tekken 7, I think. But he can do this from neutral without using the down forward 1, but it looks like it also uses his resource. Now, let's look at this real quick. Yeah, I mean, it looks like it's being used when he does the input, but it could also just be because of the follow-up, you know, like Kazuya house sweep, with the follow-up in there, you input the input before, like, the second hit comes out, and so it could just be a visual thing. That also looks like it's going to break the wall. That seems obnoxious.
Manager Alex Julio was kind enough.
Yeah, and then look at this low. It's been a while, but this low used to be.
So let's take a quick.
Oh, sorry, I didn't go back far enough. But this low here, I believe they nerfed this to be -15, and now it's not. I could obviously be confusing this with other lows that he has, because every single low that Fahkumram does looks the same, and it's been a very long time. So forgive me if I'm wrong on the frame down how it was in Tekken 7, but still, this was one of the really broken lows he had, because I think it was like +3 or +4. So it was plus a lot on normal hit. My brain wants to say +6, but that doesn't sound right. That might have been on counter hit, but the counter hit animation, I don't remember. Let's not worry about it. Let's just continue.
Of the character.
Yeah, and then this also used to be another string that he could do right here. This, from what I remember, was he had a charge on it and it was hit confirmable. The second hit's a high though, so that doesn't seem like it's changed much.
So let's take a quick look at what's new with the character. Go over his best moves.
While running 3 looks like it doesn't have a lot of range compared to a lot of while running moves in this game, so that's nice. Try doing the down forward 2. Yep, he still has down forward 2, 3. So the thing that was tricky about this move back in Tekken 7 is that it was hit confirmable. They changed it later so it wasn't, and it was -11. And the reason they had to make it -11 is because he had a mid mix-up with it as well, so ducking it when it's a full launcher, you could still get Fahkumram rewards, so it was pretty stupid. In the first hit was, I think it was safe at -9. So hopefully they've changed that since he still has the same move, but yeah, that is his launcher. Yep, and he has all of the charge things, stuff that he had before.
Let's quickly cover his Garuda Force buff, which is a buff gained by landing one of the following: his down forward 1-2.
Oh god. Okay, that seems annoying.
Forward 1+2.
Yup, forward 1+2, still a launcher.
Forward 1+2.
Hopefully that has less range and is still -14.
Back 4 3-2.
Yeah, that was a combo enter that you did at the wall in Tekken 7.
His punch parry, or
oh, what?
His punch.
That animate. Look at this single frame of animation. Look at this. What is this? I think this might actually be one frame of animation. Hold on. Punch. 1, 2, 3, 4. It's 4 frames of animation, and the rest of it is camera effect. Incredible stuff. But notably, it only leaves him at +7. So that's important. Now, because it's a punch, of course, this frame data could change based on the move that is parried. But if it's only +7 and doesn't give him a guaranteed follow-up and just puts him in stance, then that's not such a big deal. That's kind of fine.
Parry, or if you're in heat, you just have the buff automatic.
What? Are you out of your mind? You can do forward 2-1 and cancel it into a move that is +2 on block. There's gotta be some sort of counterplay to this. This is just not right. This is one of those moves that made Fahkumram considered broken in Tekken 7.
If you're in heat, you just
it is a third hit. It was hard to tell, but the second hit did come out, so that's why it says forward 2-1-2 and not like a slide input. Okay, sure. I mean, there's gotta be some way that you can interrupt this last hit. If there's not and he can just do this, then that's going to be absurd. There's just no getting around. That is not okay if there's no way to be able to like power crush through it or sidestep it or anything.
When he has this buff,
wow, and then he has...
When he has this buff...
That looks like it's going to be more used for maybe like wall conversion, but still, this being -9 mid, this is going to wall splat. So that's another thing you have to think of as well, is like, is this going to wall splat the opponent? Is this going to give you combo? Because obviously if it does, it's a hell of a lot better. Yeah, and then there's the house sweep.
Which is either his tornado kick or his erupting knee.
Yep.
Basically, if they're blocked...
I really hate these animations, by the way. I said this in my reaction to Fahkumram, and it seemed like quite a few of you agreed with me on this. But these animations, yes, they add flavor. Yes, they're neat. Yes, they add personality. But that comes at disrespecting the player's time. So even though these are cool, like the first, or second, or third time that it happens, when you play the game a lot and you see these animations over and over and over again, it's just a waste of time. and it stops being cool and neat and something that makes the character unique, and it just becomes something that makes the character more disliked. And I really wish that they didn't do this. They also fade out of here, so I wonder if this is going to be a stance, because you can see how he's posing like this and looking down at you at plus 13. We saw in the trailer that this causes wall splat and gives you full combo, but I suppose if it's not going to really do anything without a wall, then it's, like, fine. But still, we'll have to see how the rest of the moves work.
Basically, if they're blocked, he enters his Rama stance, where it's time for the opponent
it's
to
a
guess.
stance.
In this stance, he can do an unsafe low, a safe mid-string that jails.
Okay. You can power crush through that. So I wonder what the low is going to look like frame-wise. And then that jails too. It's -9, but notably the chip damage that does. Keep in mind this isn't in heat as well. So this charge is doing 10 chip damage. And then this is doing an additional 10. So that's 20 chip. And then if you power crush through it, obviously you're going to eat the damage from doing power crush. So that's another thing as well. So,
a +1 on block mid.
Wow. That goes through power crush as well because it comes out in frame 19, which is, yeah, I'm with the animation there. That almost looks like it might be a launcher. Yeah, so this is definitely a remnant of character design at the beginning of season 2, and it's pretty clear that they haven't tweaked this stuff because this is a universal problem that we saw with characters balance-wise going into season 2. If you watch any of my anti-season 2 videos, you'll see me point this out, and you'll see in the future patches that these things with characters get changed over time. But moves like Leo's running 3, as an example, goes into stance, and you can power crush through the mids except for block 1, and then that is -14, but it's a full launcher that beats power crush. I assume that the idea behind that is that they don't see the low that Leo got out of the stance as being good enough to beat the power crush, so they just allow that mid to be able to go through with because of the 1 extra frame of leniency to be able to beat the power crush, and it was obviously ridiculous, so they nerfed it. The same thing with Law's while running 1, of course. Leroy's sidestep 3+4, a bunch of moves that I can name had this exact same problem where you couldn't power crush through all of the mids, and every single one of them got changed. And it was very clear that power crush is supposed to be the option, because if you look at other moves like Jin's while running 3 in the stance, for example, power crush beats every single mid and high option out of the stance. And that's why characters in season 2 got heat smashes while in heat, because that beats power crush, and then that's supposed to make the stance more real. So the fact that Fahkumram has a plus on block mid that is completely unavoidable, that you cannot power crush through, is not only extremely strong, especially when you consider also the extra chip damage. So when this connects, it's a guaranteed 16 chip damage outside of heat. Well, I guess they did change that, so the chip damage with heat doesn't actually make it more. So it is just 16 chip damage. But with it having no counterplay to it whatsoever, not only is it really strong, but it stands out from every other character in the game balance-wise. This is an anomaly, and it's not okay. It's not good character design. It's something that they have been moving away from, and it tells me that Fahkumram was designed and pretty much done when season 2 came out, before all of the backlash happened, because he has these remnants of the season 2 balancing that they took away over the course of the future patches. And that makes me a little bit worried when it comes to how he's going to be on balance-wise on release. Because if he's still balanced around how characters were at the beginning of season 2, then he might be a bit of a problem. This definitely worries me. But at the same time, to play devil's advocate, the charge move he only gets when he has the install active, I believe, is how this worked. So if that's the case, then maybe it makes a little bit more sense. But still, there should be counterplay to these things, especially when he has a low that's already able to get past Power Crush.
A slow but interruptible and blockable.
That's reactable. That's not real. This being 40 frames, you can react to this with jab. Unless there's a way to be able to cancel this or something, this is not a real move that he can use. I don't even know why you would give this to him. I don't know why, because this is just a dumb knowledge check that serves no purpose. A 40 frame move of a very telegraphed animation because he glows like that. All you do is, I mean, Christ. With this being 40 frames, you can hop kick on reaction. Because if you think about the amount of frames difference between this and a hop kick, you take the 40, subtract 15 from it, that's 25. Obviously, that would be trade, so subtract another one, 24. So as long as you're reacting to the animation that's telegraphed from this stance within 24 frames, and you can hop kick this on reaction. So I don't understand what the purpose of this is. Why does he have this? This is just a dumb knowledge check that's going to make him really obnoxious and easy to play at lower levels, and is going to make everyone plug on this character and one and done because they're going to be eating this shit, and it's just not going to be fun to play against. So okay.
And a throw.
Yeah, so that's another thing as well. Like, why are we... This is a clear move that is supposed to deal with Power Crush. He has a low and he has a throw, so why are we giving him a mid that you can't Power Crush? It doesn't make any sense. Just balance-wise, and it breaks the floor as well. Just balance-wise, it's lazy. It makes no sense whatsoever. It's kind of asinine, to be frank with you.
Worth mentioning as well that while these charged attacks are sidesteppable, Fahkumram can now feint and cancel them by holding forward or...
And it's important to note he's canceling into crouch here. They don't have the inputs active, unfortunately, but he cancels in the crouch, and Fahkumram has a bow and arrow from crouch, at least in Tekken 7. So his from crouch game is also really strong. This is very good. This is extremely good. And also, depending on the frames that it takes for him to be able to cancel in the crouch, if you try maybe jab interrupting Fahkumram when he does this, he might go under the jabs. I obviously don't know that. You can't tell from just this animation, but he is in a crouching status. So that's a possibility, and that's going to make it hard to interrupt this, of course.
Holding forward, or use a homing attack out of them, and try to catch the sidestep by holding back.
And then he still has that kick sabaki as well. Well, maybe it was low sabaki. I'm pretty sure it was kick. No, the kick sabaki was a different move. That gave him a full launcher. Either way, yeah. So between him having the charge attacks and the cancel and the homing mid, so you can probably still step block here. And the other thing is too, so if we look at Xiao Yu, when it comes to like these attack cancel things that she got in season 2, the move when you block it into the cancel is launch punishable. So what I'm going to assume here with Fahkumram is that if you have a read that he's going to do the cancel, you can launch him. If you have a read that he's going to do the homing mid, you can probably interrupt him, probably block it or step block it and punish him for it. And then if he does the mid or any of the charge moves, I'm assuming you can power crush through it. That would make sense to me in terms of having defensive options. But again, if we're thinking like season 2 balancing philosophy being put into Fahkumram and them not adjusting him based on how they've been adjusting characters so far in the season, then it could be that that's not going to be the case. And that would be a huge problem. We're only 2 minutes in. We obviously have still have a lot more to go, but it's making me worried about him balance-wise. He seems very strong.
Now let's talk about his notable normals. Starting off with 3+4, a returning favorite. This is just a really chunky 18-frame mid that knocks down on regular hit.
It's good for wall spot.
Counter hit, stuns the opponent.
And you could see there as well. minus 9. I'm assuming that they're just doing the same move over and over again.
It tracks to the right and is safe on block at minus 9.
Yeah.
Forward 3 is a new 21 frame advancing load that is plus 4 on hit, tracks to the right, and is minus
Does nothing on counter hit though.
From crouch down forward 2 is another low hitting move, this time with 19 frames of startup, that leaves him at plus 4 on hit and is minus 14 on block.
Okay, that's not too bad then. So, and this is minus 14 on block because, well, 1, you're going to get the guaranteed forward 1+2 there, but 2, because he can cancel in the from crouch. So, and it seems like he lost his bow and arrow as well, so at least these lows are punishable. Them being minus 14 means that if he's going to try opening up the opponent with these lows, then he has to take a risk to do it. On top of them losing to, they say they track to sidestep right, so I'm assuming that they lose to sidestep left as well. So that's fine.
On block. From crouch down forward 2 is another low hitting move, this time with 19 frames of startup. That leaves
and it doesn't. It's also important to know that even though this is plus 4, it's not really doing anything on normal hit. So if you just eat this from crouch mix up and you eat the low and you're minus 4, it's kind of fine. Kind of.
Plus 4 on hit, and
it depends of course on what counter hit options he has afterwards, but
block. On counter hit, it knocks down and gives you a guaranteed forward 1+2 follow-up, which is a great way to get his Garuda.
Sorry, I was saying forward 1+2, forward 1+2.
Down 4 is a faster low at 14 frames.
Yeah, so this is still minus 4 on hit.
That added power comes with risk
and launch punish bomb block. Okay, so I am remembering right on that one. I'm pretty sure that before they nerfed it, it was like plus on hit or something, and then they made it minus 4, and it's launch punishable. So you're seeing a common theme. So the idea is that they want to make it so that Fahkumram's lows are extremely risky for him to do. That's his weakness, and then that incentivizes you to use the guard crushes more. I don't think I agree with that, but I from a pure design perspective, without thinking of the balancing, I appreciate the fact that they are trying to make characters more unique in that regard instead of just giving them a low and a mid. It is intended to add variety to characters and how they play and add variety to neutral and everything. But I think that comes at a detriment of overtuning how the guard crushes and stuff that he has works. And I think that might be because they don't really know how to balance this stuff. And we're kind of seeing that with how the guard crush, the post guard crush situation, how the cancel and stuff works. So again, it's hard to say without playing him and being in practice mode and figuring him out that way, but it is a wee bit worrying, again, from a balance perspective, because I can tell that they have this idea on how they're going to balance this by making the lows bad, but I can tell you, playing Lydia, it doesn't matter, right? Between the chip damage and really, I think what's really important, what I'm more trying to get at, is that in Tekken 8, I think a lot of Tekken players have a perception on how Tekken 8 plays based on previous Tekken games. And Tekken 8, that's not the case. Tekken 8, because of how heat engages work, because of how things are plus on block, and because of all of these things that are in this game, you don't need lows to be able to damage the opponent. You did kind of a lot in Tekken 7 because how else are you going to beat turtles? But in this game, because of how chip damage works, again, because of how heat engages work, because of how poking works, because of how stances work, etc., you can always open up opponents even if you don't have a low, because you can punish them for just playing the game. And you have to play the game, otherwise, obviously, chip damage is going to be a factor. That's how this game is designed. So this is something I've always said about Lydia back in Season 1. As you probably know, I said Lydia was top 10 in Season 1 when everyone was calling her bottom 5. And one of the reasons people were calling her bottom 5 is because people said that she didn't have any lows. But it doesn't matter in Tekken 8. It doesn't matter if you don't have lows, because you just throw out mids and your mids are going to hit. It doesn't matter if I'm playing against someone who's Mighty Ruler. It doesn't matter if I'm playing against King Ray Jr., which I did. And, I won. at Frosty Faustings against King Ray Jr. I got 13th place, and I didn't mix up my opponents. I didn't use Heaven and Earth 1+2 a single time in that entire tournament. And it's because you don't need mix-ups. You don't need lows. You don't need these high unblockables. You don't need this stuff because you'll just hit the opponent eventually. And if you have strong tools to be able to facilitate your game plan like Fahkumram has here with his God Crushes, then that's all you really need. So that's why I'm a little bit like erring on the side of caution when I'm seeing this stuff. But anyway, let's continue.
18 frame high kick that is core to Fahkumram's kit. It causes a crumple even on normal hit, is +6 on block, and as an extra bonus, it also armor breaks, which means that you...
Yeah, so this is going to be a problem, especially if it tracks to sidestep left. Because since all of these lows are tracking to sidestep right, if this move tracks to sidestep left, then that means even though there's that weakness of them being linear, with Fahkumram being able to throw out this move whenever he wants, it being +6, and it just beating Power Crush straight up normal hit launcher, it means that Fahkumram is always winning neutral. No matter where he is on the screen, no matter what's happening, Fahkumram is always in control of neutral because this move exists. And even if you're in a situation where Fahkumram is... Or... Yeah, well, where you're like -4 or after a heat burst situation, you're like, I'm just going to sidestep here, back forward 4, boom, you're dead. So this isn't okay. This isn't okay. And then also notable as well, if I go back here,
hit is +6 on block.
You see that how little the pushback is there?
And
that's also going to be a problem.
As an extra bonus, it also armor breaks, which means that you cannot power crush through it. It can be ducked, of course, and launch punished, but nevertheless, this is a very scary move.
Yeah, because I mean, and this is exactly what I mean. Like, look at this situation. It's if they try doing anything to retaliate, then they just get whiff punished and die. And then if they stand still and do nothing, then they can do back forward 4 again, and they could do any of the God Crush stuff. Yeah, Fahkumram looks, and it does 10 chip damage. Fahkumram does look like top 5. I don't even think I have to play the character. I mean, obviously, I've been playing Tekken for a long time. I've been looking at all of the characters, and I've been pretty good when it comes to evaluating a character's balance from my initial look at them. Like, back in Tekken 7, even... I was calling Fahkumram broken on release when it took people like a month to be able to say that he wasn't a really solid mid-tier character. If you don't believe me that people were saying that, go watch Main Man's video or something when Fahkumram came out. That's what everyone was saying. When Tekken 8 came out, people were saying that Yoshimitsu was like low mid-tier because he lost like his flash being able to launch on normally and stuff. And I made a video a month after the game came out saying that Yoshi was the best character in the game. And I was way ahead of the curve on that. And then obviously with Lydia being top 10, I said that Lydia was top 10 back in season 1. And with how people are evaluating her now, there's no way that she was bottom 5. She had to be at minimum top tier. So again, I was pretty ahead of the curve on that. And so I guess I'm trying to say that I have a pretty good eye for when I'm looking at characters, and I think that if they're really good, and Fahkumram's one of those characters I'm looking at, I'm like, this is busted. This isn't okay. But again, this is just a video. I have to wait until I actually play him and he's in my hands to be able to make that concrete. And I have been wrong about stuff before as well. Like, I thought Eddie was really good on release and he just wasn't. But yeah, this is looking absurd.
4 is a 25 frame axe kick that is +3 on block. And
wow, this used to be his power crush in Tekken 7. It was -12.
On counter hit, which lets you get either a free back 1 or other 14 frame follow-up.
It is 25 frames though.
One of Fahkumram's weaknesses is that his attacks are generally pretty slow on startup. For example, most characters have a 13 frame down forward 1 as a quick mid poke after the opponent blocks a plus on block move. Fahkumram's down forward 1 though is 15 frames.
Yeah, but so he has 1-1.
When you're planning your pressure after this move is blocked. Forward,
and isn't 3 a 13 frame move?
3 is a pretty standard running attack that allows you to close the distance and keep the advantage
+6.
blocked. This one is +6 on block, and on hit gives you a +15 knockdown. It's fairly linear though, and can be sidestepped both
Yeah, but that
ways.
doesn't matter when he has back forward 4. You
enough-
just run in from range and then back forward 4, catch the sidestep, and then they die. Again, though, it depends on how linear it is, right? If it's very linear, then it's not going to be as much of an issue. And this is another thing when we have to actually look at the game, because back forward 4 is really going to tie all of this together. If that move has the same sort of homing property it did in Tekken 7, even if it's just a sidestep left, that's going to be busted. But if it loses to his weak side, then it's not going to be as bad. It's still going to be really good, though.
This one has 20 frames of startup, is -1 on hit, and -13 on block, but it has a fake out by pressing down forward 3.
Okay, so never mind. So, and that was a mid as well. This used to be a high. So that thing I was talking about before about Fahkumram's clear weakness being that he has bad lows or very punishable lows, so it's high commitment. No, he doesn't.
Fake out by pressing down forward 3.
Yeah, that's a mid. And that used to be a full launcher. Don't know if it is now, but yeah. Considering he's only +12, I'm assuming he just gets a follow-up here, and it's not a full launcher. But yeah, this is... That's ridiculous.
And instead going mid. If the second kick hits, it will knock down and guarantee a ground follow-up. And if it's blocked, it's +2.
Yeah, +2.
It can be sidestepped both ways, while the fake out tracks to the right. Back 3 is a returning move from Tekken
Okay, yeah, so that's the same as his low. So again, sidestep left.
7, but this time it's also a heat engager. It's a 16-frame high roundhouse kick that is safe on
Why?
-7, and also will wall stun. Up forward 2 is one of Fahkumram's power crushes. This one is 18 frames,
High power crush.
sidesteppable in both directions, but safe on block at -7. His other power crush,
At least it's linear.
4, on the other hand, is a mid, but is slower at 22 frames of startup and is -14 on block.
So what does it do?
Down forward 1, which is a
So
move
why is his mid power crush -14? Because they kind of made these universally -13. My guess is that it was supposed to be a heat engager. Oh, that
Next
would
is
be
down
funny.
forward 1, which is a move that we somewhat touched upon earlier. It's on the slower side as far as down forward 1s go at 15 frames, but it is only -3 on block.
Yeah, well, it
And
has all
also
those
has two
follow-ups.
very notable follow-ups
And also
in down
-3
forward
is pretty
1-2,
bad for
which is
down forward 1, especially if
-13
it's
on block,
15.
But will grant a Garuda force
Yeah, and that's
charge hits,
-13,
and
so
down forward
you're
1-4,
only doing
which is
that as a
heat
punish at
engager
least.
That is safe on block at -5.
And he has
Then
one as a
let's
heat
quickly touch
engager,
upon his
sure.
heat engagers, which
Well,
are
actually, you're not
4
doing it as a punish because it's a 15 frame down forward 1, so you would never do that as a punish. Weird. Okay.
+2, a 21 frame safe mid that can be
Great.
sidestepped in both
So he just has a
directions.
demon paw, and it's -4 on block. Are you out of your mind? Okay. Again, though, it seems like he's going to be weak to sidestep left. It all comes back down to that back forward 4. And he also has that homing heat engager. And I guess to be fair, like half the characters in the game have a high homing heat engager that's also plus on block. That don't just give it, that aren't just a heat engager by itself, but you have a follow-up that gives you the heat engager. So, I mean, it's not like it's out of the norm. I just hate homing high heat engagers. It's a personal pet peeve of mine.
Aforementioned back 3, up forward 3, which is a 14 frame punishing heat engager.
Sure.
And finally, there's while standing 1-2, which
Oh,
is a
that's
13 frame
disgusting.
while standing punish. Speaking of punishes,
Though it depends on what the frame data is on the WoW Rising 1. So we'd have to see that. Because if you can do the front and crouch mix, and you can do like a single WoW Rising 1, and it's like Lydia's like -4 on block or something plus on hit, and be able to do that as a front and crouch mix up after you do the stance cancel and the crouch and stuff. Oh my god.
Thing Fok has from 10 frame to 20
The mental frame
punishes.
advantage is
At
just
10
ridiculous.
Frames, Fahkumram's options are 1-2 and 1-4. 1-4
Sure.
is the better option
What about
in
1-1?
just about every situation. It does more damage and leaves you at +8 as opposed to +5. He doesn't have an 11 frame punish, but for 12 frames, he's got 2-1,
Yep.
4-3, and
Yep.
4-4. Of the
Yeah,
three
and notably as well, the 4, I don't know if he still has this in Tekken 8, but in Tekken 7, this 4 he could cancel into the God Crush
and
attacks.
4-4. Of the 3 options, you're generally going to want to do 2-1, as it does the most damage and knocks down.
I
and
disagree.
But for 12
And the
frames,
reason
he's got
why
2-1,
is because this knocks down and resets neutral. So if you're in this position as the king and Fahkumram tries to do while running 3 here, you can just sidestep it. So if you do this, it's 24 damage and +6, which allows you to be able to frame trap with down forward 1. This is the better punish. 2-1 is something that you're only going to do at the wall at 12 frames. If there's no wall in play, then you want to do this because you are much better off having plus frames and having the opponent standing than doing even like 10 more damage and knocking them down. So this is the punish, especially if he has the God breaks he can do afterwards as well.
And 4-4. Of the 3 options,
yeah, and then 4-4 you don't want to do either because it's
3 options,
-4 on hit.
2-1 as it does the most damage and knocks
but yeah,
down,
you don't want to do this. Don't listen to the IGN guy, he's wrong.
For 13 frame punishes, there's 3-1, which leaves you at +7 on hit, giving
well, this does less damage than 4-3. 4-3 does 24, this does 23, so why would you do this? It's 1 more plus frame, but it doesn't matter with Fahkumram.
you some pretty good options to keep your pressure going. For 14 frames, he's got 3 options.
Yeah, so, okay, so you don't do that. All right. You just do 4-3. Okay, don't listen to the IGN guy.
Knocks down and gives you a guaranteed follow-up with either forward 3.
Yeah, that better be unsafe.
+2, which again gives you a Garuda Force charge. Up forward 3, which is a heat engager. And
yeah, you're just going to want to go for that probably.
And knocks down, but doesn't give you a follow-up while the opponent is grounded.
Yeah, no, again, you don't want to. You probably don't want to do this unless there's a wall.
All 3 of these options also wall stun.
Yeah.
At 15 frames, your go-to will be down forward 2-3, which is his main launcher. Down forward 1-2 will give him a Garuda charge, and down forward 1-4 will be what you use if you want it.
Yeah, I don't know why you're going to be doing like down forward 1-2 with it being -13. It just doesn't seem good.
Super punishable. His 20 frame punisher is up forward 4, which is his hop kick. On the wall,
it's delayed neutral hop kick, thank you. This isn't a hop kick, this is a delayed neutral hop kick. What are you talking about, IGN guy? This isn't a punish.
4, which is his hop kick. On the wall standing front at 11 frames, he's got wall standing 4, which does 20 damage and leaves you at +5.
Sure.
For 13 frames, there's wall standing 1-2,
yep,
which is a heat engager.
Yeah, first hits +4 on hit. That's going to be really good for stagger pressure with the from crouch mix up.
For 14 frames, you've got wall standing 2-4, which can also wall stun, or without a wall, knock down.
Again, while rising 2 by itself, because the second hit is a homing mid that can wall splat, this is going to be so strong for stagger pressure with the from crouch mix up. And on top of that, of course depends on the frames on block, but then I'm also thinking of Ana being able to hit confirm her while rising 1, and if you can do that with Fahkumram, then Jesus Christ.
Guarantees a forward 1+2 follow-up. And finally, for 15
that's
frames,
a lot.
there's wall standing 3, which is your traditional launch punisher from wall standing. Now, as always, let's put this all
because it's on 3 as well. Again, you have to look at the frame down, but that means he can do it from a face down head towards position. So if you try approaching him, he can just throw that as a launcher, and if you are a little bit too late, then you just die. So that's going to be fun.
Combos to get you started with the character.
Don't really care about the combo section, but just see if there's anything important. Yeah, counter hit 3+. I forgot about the counter hit property. That's my bad. I know it came up before and I just forgot about it. But yeah, that's a pretty decent counter hit move. Although because it's 18 frames, you can't frame trap with it really with his plus frames. But yeah, man, I mean, having a 12 frame punish like 4-3 that leaves him +6 with all of the bullshit he has, especially with like back forward 4, so it's like, okay, if you think he's going to do any of his charge stuff, you can sidestep, but then if he back forward 4s, then he can hit you. Yeah, like pretty much everything that's going on here balance wise, I feel like revolves a lot around this back forward 4. And obviously if he can hit confirm stuff like his while rising 2, his while rising 1, his down forward 2 and stuff like that, but it seems really good. He has a lot of great stuff. Like that move as an example, the forward 4 being able to lock down with +3. Again, all of the stance stuff we've seen, the from crouch mix up. Thankfully, he did lose his bow and arrow move, so don't have to deal with that. But then also, I guess they changed it to back 2-1-2 when he has the install, but being able to throw that out, long range as a poke, leave him plus, and all of the mental frame advantage he can utilize to be able to guard crush you, and then cancel it in the front crouch and stuff. Seems like an absolute nightmare. Seems obnoxious to fight. And again, like my initial thoughts, and I'm biased, my mind might be tainted because of the past, but he seems really strong. Now, like I'm saying, and I want to be clear on this, this is just based on what they showed in the video. So there are a lot of factors that we still need to consider before we can say just how strong he is or how strong he isn't. It could very well be that it turns out, you know, he can't really do much without the install, and it's hard for him to actually get the install if you're turtling, and so he can be really scary with all of the chip damage, but as long as you're being patient and being defensive, then he can't do a lot to open you up. That could be a thing. It could be that, you know, again, his back forward 4 is completely linear and it doesn't track sidestep. Although for some reason I feel like I'm remembering that it did track sidestep in a trailer or something. But either way, it could be that everything that he does loses to sidestep left. Pretty much every single thing that the IGN guy said when he said it loses to sidestep, he said or he said when it tracks to a sidestep direction, he said it tracks to sidestep right. So it could just be that sidestep left blows him up. Now, I don't subscribe to that theory because people say that same shit about Heihachi and Lydia, and they're wrong. But it could very well be a real weakness that he has. So it's tough to say. We'll have to see when he comes out. But if you want my snapshot initial opinions based on this, Fahkumram Day is every day. I'll just leave it at that. It's goddamn top 5 character again. Just get him out of my life, please.